Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Culture Wave Media Network. We are here with a very new podcast for you guys. This is going to be called Real Drafters. What we're going to be doing with this podcast is it's going to be a little bit of a competition. I'm going to be one of your hosts. My name is Darian Scalamoni. I am joined by my competitor this week, Liz Seiko.
Hello.
Hello. And also our judge, jury, executioner, producer. It is Zach Miller.
That would be me. That's me.
So let's explain this to the audience. So essentially how this is going to work is this is going to be like a draft format. If you guys aren't aware of how that works, it's basically going to be Zach is going to flip a coin. One of us is going to determine what we call heads or tails. The winner then gets to decide which order they want to choose. So you're either going to be A or you're going to be B. So if you decide to choose A, you're going to have the first pick, the fourth pick, the fifth pick, the 8th pick, and the 10th pick. We're going to go round by round, and then B is going to have picks 2, 3, 6, 7, and 9. So there's a little bit of a strategy to this. Every single time that we do a new episode of this is going to be a new topic entirely, a whole new thing to draft from. It could be certain movies from certain filmmakers. It could be filmographies of actors. But for our very first episode to celebrate the 25th anniversary of an incredible movie year, 1999, we are doing the best movies of 1999. Okay, so that is the category. Liz and I are going to go back and forth. We're going to be arguing our cases, why we believe we're making the choices that we are making. And at the very end, objectively, Zach, or whoever the producer is for whatever episode it is going to determine who they believe is the winner. We'll also put out the lists on Instagram. You guys can vote on who you guys think is the best list as well. I think this is a fun way to interact with you guys. Hopefully you guys like this. This is Real Drafters. Are you ready, Liz?
I'm ready.
You look nervous.
I'm as ready as I can be for this.
Okay. I'm hype.
I'm excited. I'm nervous because I've never done a draft. I don't really watch sports, so I don't really know how drafts work, but we're going to see how this goes.
Okay. Zach, are you ready?
I'm ready to be the unbiased opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
Fantastic. So, you're going to flip a coin. You have a coin. Correct.
I do have a coin in my hand.
Okay, fantastic. So Liz, since we are in my shed, essentially, I will let you make the choice on the coin flip.
Okay.
So Zach will flip the coin. You will call heads or tails in the air, and whatever it is, then you get to determine what pick you would like to select. Okay?
Okay, I'm going to go tails.
All right, so she's going tails before Zach even flips it. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, let me put my...
Okay, am I supposed to wait until he flips it?
Yep, here we go. So you call tails.
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 Okay, it is tails. So you get to determine whether you would like the A slot or the B slot. There's never been more pressure in her entire life, everyone.
I'm going to go the B slot.
Okay, so you're going to get the double back-to-backs.
Yes.
In picks 2 and 3 as well as 6 and 7. So for round 1, I will start. Round 2, you will start. Round 3 will be me. Round 4 and 5 will be you.
Yes.
Okay? All right, so I have the very first pick.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. My first pick in the first ever Real Drafters 2024 draft is going to be The Sixth Sense. Okay, so The Sixth Sense is my pick. The reason I'm picking The Sixth Sense, and I'm not a huge M. Night Shyamalan person, however, a lot of people really regard this as his greatest movie ever. But what I think this movie did is it completely re-engaged the whole film marketplace of making twists like sexy again. Like, it didn't happen for a very long time. They weren't happening. And the twist in this movie, now, unfortunately, as years have gone on, it's tough because, like, the twist has kind of unraveled itself because the movie came out so many years ago. But not only that, it has a great child performance from Haley Joel Osment. Toni Collette is great in it. Bruce Willis is so good in it. And again, I think it's one of the best films ever for a very synonymous filmmaker. Like he's not on the level of the Tarantinos and the Scorseses, but people go out to see a Shyamalan movie, especially because of the twists. And The Sixth Sense is one of the best ones, if not the very best one that he's ever had. So The Sixth Sense is my first pick.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have anything to say about that?
I guess I'm going to argue just so that, I do agree with everything that you said. I think it's a great movie. The only thing I would point out is that as people start listening to some more films that have come out this year, I think it's one of the ones that is a little more forgettable.
Okay.
kind of.
Interesting.
Because as great of a movie as it is, it's never like in the front of my mind whenever I'm thinking of old classics from the 90s.
Okay.
I also think that maybe if it came out today, it wouldn't be as iconic as it was in the time, because a lot of that film, the creepiness comes from seeing nothing, and it's literally just of like the actor's reaction, which I think if it came out today, it probably wouldn't do as well.
Okay.
That's
I can
just an
understand that.
opinion.
However, I will also argue the film got 6 Oscar nominations, and on top of that, on a $40 million budget, it grossed $672 million. So it was a massive success critically, a massive success commercially, and it still holds the test of time to this day as the best M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I'll counter one more time.
Okay, fair.
6 nominations. Didn't win any.
It didn't win anything.
All right.
I think that's fair.
No wins.
6 nominations. That's what I'm going with. Sixth Sense is my number 1 pick.
Okay.
You have the number 2 pick. It is the second pick of the very first round, Liz. What says you?
I am going to go with The Matrix,
Okay.
which, to start off, was nominated for 5 Oscars, and it won 4 out of 5 of them. Some of the things that it won for was Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Sound Effects, and Best Visual Effects also. This film, I think, came out at a perfect time when people were starting to dip their toes in like sci-fi, kind of entering different realms and like worlds. And I mean, even to now, I watched it, I think, a couple of years ago, and it still holds up. It's not kind of it hasn't entered like cheesiness, or even the effects don't look outdated, in my opinion. It's written and directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski, I think is how you pronounce their last name. And then they just went on and did everything that pretty much was related to The Matrix, which, like, great for them that they were able to monopolize on this film. And then they also eventually started doing a TV show called Sense8. Have you seen that?
It was on Netflix, yeah.
I didn't watch it.
But I've heard of it, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, The Matrix, it's iconic. It became a huge series, and I think people still love it today. So
Okay. I'm going to argue.
I knew you were.
I do respect the fact that what it did revolutionizing like digital sort of filmmaking, okay? Now, the movie came out, again, 25 years ago. Not that it's dated by any means, but even the Academy Awards that it did win, none of them were like real standout except for what it did with visual effects. On top of that, the movie actually grossed less, being a giant sci-fi blockbuster, less than The Sixth Sense. And on top of that, the Matrix franchise as a whole just continuously got worse from there. So I feel like it was a great idea for a singular film, but the whole franchise as a whole just got completely half-baked from them because they had nothing else sort of built in it. So I can respect, and the other part of it is that it kind of put Keanu in this really weird range of people then not respecting him as an actor for a really long time because they were just like, whoa, that's Keanu. And it was just like the Matrix time and the Point Break time and the Speed time, and it was like you could actually see Keanu actually has some legitimate acting chops from the things he did previously. So I think it delegitimized him as an actor, which is worrisome to me. So I think The Matrix is a good pick. I think it's a little high here. That's my opinion.
I think that it was a great move for him acting wise, because it showed that he's able to have actual like acting skills in more of a sci-fi world, because sometimes it is just like, okay, I need to stand on my mark. I need to just look nice so that the effects don't look cheesy. But I think that he brought to that film like actual acting and not just standing on his mark.
I think that's fair. But Sixth Sense got 3 acting nominations versus 0 for Matrix.
But they didn't win any.
Matrix didn't win any for their acting because
didn't
they weren't
win.
even nominated. There you go.
Go ahead.
That's
What?
the first
Oh,
round.
no, it's my
your
next
pick now.
pick.
So you have the third
Okay.
pick. This is now round 2.
What
Liz,
do I
what is your
wanna
first pick
do?
of round 2?
I am gonna go with
Ooh, she's already hesitating. Not a good sign. Not a good sign.
I'm trying to
whatsoever.
decide. I'm trying to figure out where you're gonna go next, because I also want to have a good.
play your game, Liz.
I want to have a
Play your
good
game.
rounded like team. So I think I'm gonna jump to American Beauty.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I call that problematic?
I'm
Go right ahead.
I'm gonna go
Liz.
to American Beauty because if we're talking about it as a film, it was nominated for 8 Oscars and won 5 of them. It won Best Picture, won Best Actor in a Lead Role, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography. I mean, for the time, if we're sticking to 1999, this is probably the biggest movie of the year, arguably.
You can argue that, but I think it's also the movie that has probably free fallen the most from that year, having given the circumstances not only of who the lead of that film is, but also the circumstances surrounding the plot of that movie with Kevin Spacey in the lead role.
I agree. Not that I don't watch this movie like often, but I think if we're playing it for the time, I mean, also take Kevin Spacey out. The amount of heavy-hitting actors that are in this: Annette Bening, Wes Bentley, Allison Janney, Sam Roberts. I mean, directed by Sam Mendes, who ended up doing 1917 later.
It's very solid directorial
It's a
effort
solid.
for Sam
Just,
Mendes.
I think if you take Spacey out of the equation, this, yes, it's problematic, especially the storyline too. But I mean, also you could argue that Call Me by Your Name has kind of a similar storyline if you think about it.
It does, but I think that the other part of it is, I think Armie Hammer in Call Me by Your Name is replaceable. I don't know, we're not arguing whether what Spacey did.
That's
did not,
yes.
It's a whole other thing. We're not getting into that territory, everybody. So fucking relax. What I am saying is, because of what the character calls for, I don't know how many people will be able to play it the way that Spacey did. And Spacey won the Academy Award for it, which, I mean, again, like the Oscar argument I can understand. But I do think, looking back, especially in the last like 30 years of Best Picture winners, like that is coupled in like that Green Book territory where it's like, did we make a mistake? Because it was a massive year, and there were a lot of other really amazing movies that were nominated for Best Picture that year.
Well, I'd say, though, for this time, I think that this was a film that was maybe a little bit different of a like screenplay than most other films were putting out there. Like, it wasn't a big blockbuster film that the producers were pushing for it. It was kind of like a simpler storyline. So I think that's maybe.
I just think that I mean, there's so many other movies. Like, you just look at Best Picture alone too. Like Cider House Rules, Green Mile, Insider, Sixth Sense. Like, a lot more of those stick in people's minds as the years go on versus American Beauty. Like, or if American Beauty is in people's heads, it's for the wrong reasons. It's my argument.
Still in their heads.
It's in their heads.
Still in
That's
their
a
heads.
fair point. All right, so that is your number 2 pick.
Yes.
My number 2 pick and the number 4th pick overall is The Blair Witch Project. So, The Blair Witch Project, another absolutely revolutionary movie, spun this whole different guerrilla style of filmmaking in which a lot of filmmakers weren't doing things, in which they were doing like found footage, essentially. It was the biggest horror movie of the year, and here's so this is a huge part of it as well. The movie cost anywhere between, so they don't even have the legitimate number, but it's anywhere between $200,000 to $750,000. It cost them way under $1 million to do this movie, and it grossed close to $250 million at the box office. The movie was a massive breakout hit, and the thing with that movie that I think kind of separates it, so like for the argument against American Beauty, when you hear about that movie, regardless of how good you may think it is, your mind immediately goes to Kevin Spacey. The Blair Witch Project, you know that property strictly based on how revolutionary the actual filmmaking and the movie was as a whole. Like, you can't recall any of the actors from it because it was so low budget and they were basically trying this whole new format. So it's like how people were coming out of festivals and they were trying all these new things. Like Blair Witch was the first horror movie to do anything like this. And it launched a whole media franchise with sequels, and then eventually Paranormal Activity decades later that also was incredibly profitable because it was off the back of the Blair Witch Project. So it's a really solid horror movie still to this day. Again, it wasn't in like the awards consideration, but the movie stands the test of time that if you hear the Blair Witch Project, you can immediately be like, oh, that movie was revolutionary for what it did filmmaking wise.
So I would argue that the reason it made so much money is not because of the film itself, but because of the marketing that they did around it. Because they used the internet in the earlier times of being able to put out like news reports that this film was a true story about people that just recently went missing. And so then people were going out to be like, oh my God, it's real missing people. I don't think it's that great of a horror film at the end of the day. I think the hype around it was what drove people to go and check it out. But I think if you watch the careers of the people that were connected to this project, they didn't really go anywhere.
I would argue that the marketing was a big part of what made the movie successful, like you said, and that would add to my case because it was revolutionary for the way they marketed the movie. Because no movies were utilizing the internet in that way. The only other person that was doing that back in that time was like Kevin Smith. So,
but if you take away the marketing of the film,
you can't take away the marketing. That's what happened.
But does the film stand alone? Is it able to stand on its own? I don't think so. I think if you put it next to other horror genres, it would fall flat because I've seen it a couple of times and it does not have a rewatchable. It's not rewatchable.
Okay.
Once you know eventually what happens.
American Beauty is rewatchable.
Well, I don't think
I'm
the Sixth Sense either because once you find out the big reveal at the end, you're like, okay, why? I don't have to rewatch this.
Okay.
The thing that is rewatchable is The Matrix.
Sure,
because there's always so many things that you can rewatch.
You can keep trying to make your case for the first round because you're not confident in it. That's fine.
Well, you went back to my round.
No, we're in the second round. American Beauty was your pick this round. Oh, she's in a spin cycle.
I didn't realize that we were like going against each other like
absolutely.
in each round. I thought that it was like.
Well, it is. It's a collective. But this is round 2.
Let's start over. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my God. All right.
I didn't realize it was like battles.
Yeah,
like individual ones.
I'm battling.
I thought that it was just like, here's a film. Let's argue about that film.
It's a collective.
Okay, now I'm ready. I'm prepared now.
You better be prepared because we're going on to fucking round 3 already. This is unbelievable, Liz. Liz.
I'm caught up. Now that I'm halfway in, I'm
so
ready.
sorry to tell you that it is my pick for this third round.
Oh, okay, you're right. You're right, it is your pick.
As we move on to the third round. And with that, I'm going to pick a movie that was also revolutionary and spurned the career of an unbelievably underrated filmmaker who needs to be doing way more. My pick is Being John Malkovich, which is directed by Spike Jonze, okay? And Spike Jonze actually started as someone literally from, like, the skateboarding scene. Like, he hung out with people like Tony Hawk and Bam Margera and decided to make a really wonky, crazy fucking movie, all based on what goes on in the head of the actor John Malkovich. The movie completely revolutionized how people are able to do zany things that, like, we love. Like, Dream Scenario wouldn't be possible if Being John Malkovich never came out. It helped sort of shape an auteur like Spike Jonze to do other movies like Her. Things like Even Where the Wild Things Are have, like, very zany aspects to them because of what came before it. Adaptation's another one. So I think the movie just did, and it kind of shaped John Malkovich in a different way because nobody had ever seen him as that kind of guy. Also has really good casting. Cameron Diaz in a really good role. She was like so hot in the 90s. Like she was in anything that was like a good property. John Cusack too was really good in it. So Being John Malkovich to me, I just think is a really strong movie, and it holds the test of time. For being just a really surrealist. I mean, talk about the marketing for that movie too. Like just having John Malkovich's face plastered everywhere interested people because they were like, what the fuck is going on with this movie? So I think the movie as a whole is still really, really great and has a lot of rewatchability throughout the years. Probably the most rewatchable of all my choices, like you argued. But I would say I'm really confident and happy with my selection of Being John Malkovich in the third round. That's a value pick. It's what we call a value pick in the biz. Liz, you can argue if you want, or you can just make your next pick and we can just go to battle.
I'm not going to argue. The only thing I will say is I tried to watch this movie, I want to say like 5 years ago, maybe 4. I couldn't do it. I don't know why, but the first, I gave it like 20 minutes. It fell a little flat in the beginning, in my opinion.
Oh, boy.
So I can't really argue. It's just that I didn't make it through this film.
I mean, it got universal acclaim. It was in multiple film festivals. Being John Malkovich, Malkovich's performance as himself is ranked number 90 in the top 100 greatest movie characters in Premiere Magazine, and he played himself. Like, he's Nicolas Cage now then, and he made that because of this movie. It's ranked 440th on Empire's magazine of the 500 greatest films ever made. Ever made. Movie's great.
I couldn't do it. I don't know.
That's
Maybe I need to give it another try, but I lasted like 20 minutes.
What's your next pick, Liz? What's your pick this round?
I'm gonna go So, like, do I want to pick to, like, go against that one specifically? Or, like, what?
If you feel like there's one on your list that you don't think I'm going to take at all, you can save that one. You can bank that.
I don't know. I feel like I need to, like, learn how to do drafts.
I got two ready right now. By the way, for the audience at home, I've gotten my 1 through 3 picks on my list. So, for my personal draft, I'm feeling good, Liz. I'm feeling really good right now.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, how Zach, how are you judging it? Based on, like, the rounds or overall?
Are you trying to bait the judge?
Overall. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to stick with my plan then.
We're doing
I'm going to stick with my plan.
Again, we're doing the entire list is what he's judging as a whole, but we're going. It has to be in rounds, essentially.
All right, I'm gonna. So I have.
This is your third pick, 6th overall, second pick of the third round.
I'm going with one of the greatest filmmakers and writers of all time, Mr. Adam Sandler, Big Daddy.
Whoa! Whoa!
I'm getting that film.
Holy shit!
Absolutely,
guys. Go ahead, Liz.
That I really don't.
Go ahead, Liz.
I don't. People have probably heard me say this. For comedies, I'm not a big laugh out loud person. I'm more of like, oh, that was funny, that was good. This movie still makes me laugh out loud. It's so good. The cast, I mean, Adam Sandler, Jon Stewart, Cole and Dylan Sprouse as little babies. Like, come on, they were the best. Leslie Mann, Rob Schneider, Steve Buscemi, directed by Dennis Dugan, who had like a huge career. Grown Ups, The Benchwarmers, Jack and Jill,
movies.
Happy Gilmore.
He's a Sandler guy.
Of course. So, I mean, this is just that team doing its best, and anyone that's seen it, there's no complaint. So I'm interested to see how you try and spin this one, DJ.
Well, so here's my reasoning. I love Big Daddy. It's one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies ever made. I think the concept still is hilarious, and it's a very quotable movie. My argument would be Sandler does a great job with what he does in that movie. Remind me, that movie is PG-13, isn't it? I'm going to double check. Big Daddy.
What does the rating have to do with it?
I'm gonna explain in 1 second. Why doesn't it tell you on fucking Wikipedia? Hold on.
Let's see.
I got it. I'm on it. All right, PG-13. Here's my argument. That year, there were 2 major comedies that came out that were R-rated. Well, actually, there were like 4 that were R-rated that did way better. Even in terms of like Sandler was like a master at the box office, but like have way more cultural resonance. Like Office Space is one of them. These ones I'm not gonna draft, so I feel free saying it. But if you take them, whatever. Office Space has a lot of cultural relevance. American Pie for me, like completely like changed the game in terms of comedies. You had a college set comedy. You had Jason Biggs fucking a pie. Like what? That was like a thing. Like people talked about that in like that was water cooler talk back when cubicles existed and people were talking about Office Space. They were talking about Jason Biggs fucking a pie. Eugene Levy, Stifler's mom. So much in that. The South Park movie, regardless of you're a fan or not, was humongous for the attention of a show like that being originally on MTV and then Comedy Central and then getting a crazy release. And then, what was the other one? Well, 10 Things I Hate About You is another great example. That's like a great rom-com from that era, and that movie still stands a bigger test of time than Big Daddy does. Now, I'm not saying I don't love the movie. I love Big Daddy. But for this to be on a list of the best films of 1999... I think that's tough. It's one of the greatest. It's regarded as one of the greatest movie years ever, and I would argue it's not even his best comedy. It's a great movie, but would it be in my top 10 list? I don't even know if it would crack my top 20.
So you think American Pie is better than Big Daddy?
I think American Pie did more for what it was trying to achieve than Big Daddy did. I think that, and I do think American Pie is hilarious, but I'm saying that. And I might argue, I think American Pie might be better than Big Daddy.
Ooh,
again, different audiences. We're talking rated R.
I think you're
We're talking rated
reaching.
R versus PG-13. And again, you can only do so much with a PG-13 rating. But just again, you're talking cultural relevance. Like Sandler's great and people love Big Daddy. But like that wasn't even his biggest movie in the 90s. Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore are way more relevant than that movie is. And I'm not saying it's not a bad movie. I'm saying for it to be in your top 10, your top 5 is crazy.
No, it's not.
I think it is.
Absolutely, it's not.
I think it
because
is.
I would argue that this film, Big Daddy, out of the ones that you just named, is probably the only one that really can stand up to today, and a film that people like the younger kids now will probably actually watch. I don't think like high schoolers or like people that are starting to watch older films for the first time are really watching American Pie or the South Park movie. Like,
what about Austin Powers?
Austin Powers, I think,
also came out that year, the sequel, and it grossed more money than Big Daddy did.
So I'd never watched Austin Powers until a year ago. It's interesting, but like, is it relevant for today's culture? I don't think so. But Big Daddy holds up. It's very funny, and I love that movie. Okay. So it's on my list.
That's fair. You can put it there. All right, we're going to round 4 now. So this is going to be your pick again. This is the 7th overall pick.
Okay.
And then I get the next one, and then you get 9, and I get 10.
Okay.
So you got your pick of the litter here. Again, once again, audience, I have my 1 through 3. I feel great about my draft. Liz looks like she's on the ropes a bit.
I have a couple that I want to get, but I don't know which way you're gonna go. I'm gonna go with. Why are you guys laughing at me?
Oh, we're waiting.
What? Don't they take a long time with the draft? Like trying to figure it out.
You get a couple minutes.
What do I have? Do I have a timer? Do I have a timer? Okay, because I'm coming at this from the standpoint of having a very different. Like I don't want them all to be the same type. I'm gonna go with Tarzan.
Okay.
Yep.
Tarzan was on my periphery list. It is. I will. It's hard for me to argue against this because it's
one of the greatest movies of this year ever made.
It's my favorite Disney movie of all time. I will be honest.
Are you upset I got it?
No, I'm not.
A little broken.
Tarzan was on my periphery. Wasn't even in my top 10 list.
Let me see the list.
I'm not showing you shit. Not showing you shit. All right, make your argument.
What do I have to argue? Go watch the movie. It's one of the greatest animated films of all time. I mean, You'll Be in My Heart. Phil Collins.
Collins is the fucking goat, by the way.
Come to my side. Pitch this for me.
I'm not going to pitch it for you. I'm not going to help you. Here's the thing. Tarzan.
Wait, I'm not done.
Ahead.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. They won Best Original Song because that soundtrack, I think, was this film that changed the way directors thought about soundtracks and was like, you know what? We're going to start killing our music now and making it good and not just like background noises. So anyways, I mean, this film, I think I cry every time. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful film. The animation still holds up too for like...
It does.
It does. Let's see, the director, Chris Buck, he ended up going to do Frozen 2, Wish. Also, Kevin Lima.
Don't know if you want to bring up the movie Wish, Liz. It's tough.
It's still a Disney, though. That's big.
Wish was really bad.
Well, I'm not arguing that Wish was good.
You're arguing about Chris Buck.
Yeah, but he's still relevant.
Sure.
He's still relevant. Unlike
wait till my pick.
The Blair Witch Project. What are those people doing?
The franchise still holds the test of time.
But they don't.
They made a Tarzan movie with Margot Robbie and Samuel L. Jackson, and it did nothing for cultural relevance. I love Tarzan. This is the most relevant Tarzan movie to ever be released. It did a great job at the box office. The movie's great.
Yeah.
However,
thank you.
However,
it's
not even the best animated movie of the year. You're taking movie. No, you're reaching.
It is.
You're absolutely reaching with this pick. You can argue
that.
What
would you say is the best?
I got it in my bag. I'm taking it in the last round. Don't worry about it. I got it.
The last round. Okay.
Because I can hold on to it.
Let's try to figure it out. Let's try to What are you going to do? Toy Story 2?
Don't even worry about it.
Toy Story 2. I'm betting. Should I just steal that?
Tarzan doesn't even have a ride at the amusement park in any of the Disney parks.
Because it's better than that. It doesn't need one.
That's their whole business strategy.
It doesn't need one.
Frozen has a whole fucking world in Norway or wherever the fuck they're at.
Because they need to make more money. Tarzan was happy with what they did and content with their lives.
Listen,
and they said, we made a good, heartwarming film, and we don't need to monopolize on this.
Tarzan's a great movie. I just think it's a weak pick. I got to be honest.
I don't know. You think all my picks are weak. Sounds like you're getting nervous.
I think it just sounds like you're reaching a lot.
No, I think I have a very good...
You're trying to be diverse, and I can appreciate that, but my next pick is Fight Club. And the fact that I got Fight Club in the 4th round is fucking crazy, by the way. Let's start there. Now, the movie as a whole, when it first came out, was completely fucking hated. Let's take that out. We already understand that. It's a large thing. Everybody already knows that, right? It is the definition of basically what created the words cult classic. The movie revolutionized the way that people live their lives, the way that people appreciate the movies of David Fincher. This is a movie that, despite the fact that it could have completely collapsed his career, completely reinvigorated his career and had him on the craziest streak ever. Fincher, now you can argue Chris Buck, David fucking Fincher is one of the greatest filmmakers to ever live, okay? And Fight Club is regarded by many as maybe the best movie he's ever made. You have an unbelievable two-hander with Edward Norton and Brad Pitt. Plus, you have one of the first acting performances of Jared Leto. Zach was so kind to add Holt McCallany in our group chat the other day because I didn't know he was in this fucking movie. Meatloaf? Fucking Meatloaf? You bring in a music icon into this movie, and a movie that is so shaped by... We talk so often on our podcast about, like, simple ideas. Like, this completely bursts with creativity and uniqueness from such an, like, simple kernel of what an idea is. It's just a deranged guy that wants to be in a fucking Fight Club. And there's more to it than that, but I'm not going to spoil it for the people who still haven't seen this movie, even though if you haven't seen this movie, why the fucking watch the podcast? Fight Club is amazing. And though I do respect Tarzan and I love Tarzan, the fact that we are in a place where we're comparing Tarzan to Fight Club, I think
why are we... Tarzan clearly wins because...
my God.
The domestic box office...
Holy shit,
for 1999, Tarzan came in at 6. Do you want to know what number Fight Club came in at?
What is this? What? Read me this. What are you talking...
56.
On what? What is this?
Domestic box office for 1999... Tarzan was number 6.
It made no
Fight
money.
Club was 56.
It is. The movie has completely grown
as
the years have gone along. It's also one of the highest rated movies in the history of any metric you look at. IMDb, it's the number 1 movie of 1999. I got it in the fucking 4th round. Liz.
The other thing I have to say,
the 4th round,
because I'll be honest, didn't even make my list. I did not want this, and I knew that you were going to go for it. So I came with receipts. This film was nominated for 1 Oscar, and it lost. Do you know what that Oscar nomination was for?
What was it, Liz?
Best Visual Effects.
Unbelievable.
And you're telling me, was this a visual effects film? Was this like The Matrix, where it came in and won
Have you seen
4 out of them? Fight Club? Come on. If anything, it should have... If it has Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, they should have at least gotten like an Oscar nom. Clearly not.
The movie, again, what I'm arguing is I am under the understanding that the movie for the time was not well received. The movie is probably realistically the only movie on this list of movies from the 90s that has actually grown in relevance as the decades have gone on. Way more people have seen it now. It's a huge influence on things like Joker, which was nominated for 11 fucking nominations. If Fight Club doesn't come out, I mean, Joker, again, a lot of different things. Scorsese, yes, but Fight Club is also a huge influence on that movie. Again, David Fincher. If this movie doesn't happen, we don't get to see the greatness of what Fincher eventually becomes. Because regardless, this movie, like, overcame everything. This movie completely overcame every single critique that people had for it.
I don't think the growth of this film, though, has anything to do with the film. It just has to do with the director. So
I think the movie as a whole is fantastic.
I think if it was,
I'm sorry if you don't like it, but I think it's great.
Connected to a not so big name director, it would have no ground for today.
He wasn't
would have no traction.
But he wasn't a big name director when the movie came out.
Yeah, but he became one, and so now all the film people all the kids that are in film school, they're watching this because they know Fincher's name, and so they're like, oh, I have to go watch his filmography, and so that's why it's becoming popular. It's
but
not
it's
because
still
it's
one
an
of the
actual,
ones that's the most
like killer film for this year.
It's still one of the ones that like people go back to the most in his filmography because there's still so much that you can enjoy about it.
I think Tarzan is.
All right.
Tarzan gets more watches.
Tarzan versus Fight Club in round 4.
Listen, if I were to pick a film right now tonight to go home and watch, I'm picking Tarzan over Fight Club.
Okay, that's fine.
So who goes next?
It's
Me?
your pick. It's your
okay.
last pick. This is pick number 9.
Oh wow!
This is the last pick for
Okay,
your
this
draft.
went faster than I thought.
Boy, guys, we're in for it.
Can we go through the roster? What is on his? What did he do?
We can do it
What
at the
are
end.
his-
We'll do it at the end.
No, I just want to know.
I'll do a recap.
Yeah, let me do a recap really quickly.
Now?
Can I just do it? What's your 4 right now?
I just picked Fight Club in the 4th round.
No. What is your like one? Which ones have you picked?
I have The Sixth Sense, The Blair Witch Project, being John Malkovich, and Fight Club.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
She's in a spin cycle, folks.
No, I'm gonna go because I gotta stay true to myself.
Stay true, Liz.
I'm gonna go The Virgin Suicide.
I knew it was coming.
Because
I knew it was coming.
I love Sofia Coppola. This film, I don't care what anyone says. You could argue with me all you want. This film, she had style. She knew what she wanted to do with this story. I think if you gave this script to any other director, it would have fallen flat. But because it was in Coppola's hands, she treated this thing like a beautiful, gorgeous story to tell that is tragic. And I mean, it has Danny DeVito's in it. Argue with me on that. Are you kidding me?
I can't argue with a Jersey legend.
And also, I think it was her first collaboration with Kirsten Dunst, which started their incredible friendship.
I think that now again, I haven't seen Virgin Suicide, so I can't even argue anything for or against it. The one thing I can argue is that though it is probably one of the better directorial debuts that anyone has had, and Sofia Coppola is a great director, this is not the movie people know her for. It's the next one that came after it. And my argument is she's gotten better as a filmmaker, arguably, so it's like this is probably the weakest of her filmography, you could say. So that would be my argument. But I can't really argue much. I haven't seen the movie. I can't talk about any of the performances. I can't argue any of that stuff. And I'm so sorry for that. I'm sure it's a great movie.
It's
I would
gorgeous.
love to see it.
It was
I'm
the
sure
start
it's
of
great.
her incredible directing view and just telling heart-wrenching stories with a feminine twist.
Okay. I think that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good pick. I think it's perfect for the 5th round. Your picks that came before that, Liz, I don't know.
They're great. I was gonna do the Iron Giant maybe, but
Iron Giant's another great pick. Didn't make my list. Guys, let's just talk about the fact that I got picks 1 through 5 on my list. I feel so great.
I know
about
what you're
this.
gonna pick next.
Now,
I
so
feel
here's
like.
the thing. I could go one of 2 ways with this. Both ways I feel like are completely ways for me to just win this whole draft. But
Can I guess which one, the 2 that you're
sure,
thinking?
absolutely.
Toy Story 2,
Okay.
The Green Mile.
Okay. Incorrect. Green Mile was on my periphery list as well.
Oh, okay.
So there's 2 ways I can go with this. I've already gone the way of prestige with things like The Sixth Sense for the year. I've gone with things that have been culturally relevant, like The Blair Witch Project and eventually Fight Club, being John Malkovich reshaped cinema. So let's get fun with it, right? Let's just get fun with it. My 5th pick could have been The Phantom Menace. There's a legitimate argument for it. It's not it, because I do think it's the worst of the Star Wars movies. However, it was the first Star Wars movie in decades, and it was the highest grossing movie of the year. So that could have been my pick, but I'm not going that way. And yes, unfortunately, Liz, you did happen to guess my 5th pick. My 5th pick is Toy Story 2, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. You guys might not know this. Toy Story 2 was a film that was going to make or break Pixar as a brand. If this movie does not succeed, Pixar doesn't reach the heights that it is at today. After the success of Toy Story 2, Disney acquired Pixar and was able to make a huge business model based on that. Now, I won't argue that Toy Story 2 is the best of the Toy Story movies, because we all know that's not true. Everyone at home, just leave your comments. We all know that's not true, right? However, we do get Big Al, a fantastic, memeable, iconic character. We get the introduction of Jessie. We get the introduction of Bullseye. 2 characters that still stand the test of time and have somehow weaved themselves into the fabric of what is Toy Story, despite the fact that the first one is so built on the friendship of Buzz and Woody. The movie was originally supposed to be direct-to-DVD, but they bet on it. And it was the 3rd highest grossing movie of the year, so it also grossed more than Tarzan did, which was a Disney property at the time, and Toy Story 2 was not. My last argument would be, the movie was lost. Here's the story. The movie was lost. It was gone from the server. They thought that the movie was completely deleted. Someone recovered it. It's one of the greatest stories in the history of the making of this movie, in the making of Pixar. They talk about it in every documentary they have. Though I don't love the movie as much as the other installments in the franchise, I feel very comfortable with my last pick and the 10th pick overall, taking Toy Story 2. Argue with me, Liz.
Are you done?
I'm done. I'm
Are
done.
you done?
I'm done. So much greatness within this movie, honestly.
I think with Toy Story 2, if they had lost the film, the world wouldn't be missing anything. We'd seen the story already.
So the world wouldn't care about Toy Story.
No, they had a solid first film. Did they need to make a second one and bring in all these new characters? No. Was it a necessary film? No. Did they make a lot of money on it? Sure. But that just shows like that they just wanted to make a lot of money. That was not culturally needed, in my opinion.
I can't disagree with you more, Liz. I mean, again, the fact that there's memes happening in 2024 of a side character from that movie makes it relevant, makes it important for the time. Jessie and Bullseye are integral now to what Toy Story is. Those characters don't come if Toy Story 2 doesn't happen. Toy Story as a franchise doesn't happen, and I would argue Toy Story 3 is probably the best of the films. You don't get a Toy Story 3 if you don't get Toy Story 2. You have to establish the love and the familial aspect to these characters.
Yeah, but I don't know. Tarzan for me just has more of like a heart pull on it than Toy Story 2 does. I feel like Toy Story 2 is just kind of like, oh, here's another like animated movie. It wasn't any like deep storytelling going on there.
Okay. Well, also at the Annie Awards, which is the highest regard for animated films, it won Best Film of the Year in a very strong animated year with The Iron Giant, with Tarzan.
And I'd never even heard of that award show.
Whoa,
so.
Calling out animators, everybody. Calling out animators. Liz is just pissing off everybody today, isn't she? Jesus. Liz, do you have any more crazy arguments for me why your list is better?
No, this was hard. This draft. I don't know if I enjoyed it.
I feel great, everybody. I feel great. So let's recap our drafts. I will start. You can give your draft after. With my first pick, I took The Sixth Sense. My second pick, I took The Blair Witch Project. My third pick, I took Being John Malkovich. My fourth pick, I took Fight Club. With my fifth pick, I took Toy Story 2. Other movies that I considered, The Phantom Menace. I did consider The Matrix, which was taken early. I considered 10 Things I Hate About You. And I also considered one that I'm surprised you didn't pick. I considered Eyes Wide Shut, which was...
Oh, I don't like that film. For me, is like problematic.
Just has a lot of again, cultural relevance. And the last movie of... Why am I blanking right now? Yeah. Thank you, Zach. Stanley Kubrick. So those were all also on my list for my periphery. But I got my 1 through 5 here. So I feel great about my draft. Liz,
wow. Mine was The Matrix, American Beauty, Big Daddy, Tarzan, and The Virgin Suicides.
Okay.
Some of the ones that I had on the side was Girl Interrupted, The Green Mile. I did have Sixth Sense, and then Election.
Where did you have Sixth Sense on your list?
I had second.
Yep. I knew it. I could tell your face as soon as I saw it.
It's like, oh, wow. He really... Because I thought you were going to put Fight Club first.
Yep, I knew you did.
Yeah,
there's a strategy to this.
That's why I was like, great, I'll just learn to argue on that one.
All right. Now it's time to go to our judge, the wonderful, incomparable Zach Miller. Zach, thank you for being here. We love you. Now, it is your decision now, your choice, to determine and your reasoning who you're going to select for the first ever winner of the Real Drafters Draft for the 1999 films.
Okay. All right. So
no pressure.
I'm going to go over some of my notes that I took during this competition.
I can't wait for this.
I know, me too. I'm excited.
This was both of you put together some phenomenal lists. Okay? And I like to remind the viewers that I have no personal bias of these movies. It is about how they explain them to me if I had not seen them, and their pitches in making this a stacked list to be the best one. So I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to go back and forth. All right. So let's start with The Matrix. DJ, I have to disagree with you about Keanu. I think that there is no John Wick without this franchise. And I think that The Matrix did so much for movies in general. Liz was definitely right about the visual effects. It is one of the best movies of 1999. DJ picking The Sixth Sense. It's a great movie. I think that Liz had a great counter about it not being rewatchable. So that was a great point, at least with the plot point of when you know the ending. There's a lot of things that you can't rewatch about that movie compared to some of the other ones on each of your lists.
Are we are we doing like round one goes to somebody, or he's just picking?
No, he's gonna pick at the end.
Oh, okay.
I'm just refreshing.
Okay,
He's
great.
just giving his, like,
I enjoy
highlighting.
this. I enjoy this.
He's letting
This is
the
good.
audience
This
and
is
us
good.
know his reasoning behind his.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. American Beauty. I do agree with Liz that it's very much still in your head. Without Kevin Spacey, the movie still holds its own. I think the story is very relevant, at least with the sense of the loser dad. He's trying to take control of his own life and that sense of it. And then there is the controversial side to it for sure. I see what you were saying about Kevin Spacey, but I think that the movie and the filmmaking behind it was very deserving of the franchise. Blair Witch Project. I think it was a great move for indies. I think Liz had a good counter about the marketing. That there is a lot of hype. There was a lot of hype at that point of that, maybe this got a little bit more attention because of the marketing, because of the new style of like camcorder movies at that point in time. So yeah, that was just another takeaway for that. So there's like Liz put together a great solid list, and then she hit me with Big Daddy, and my one note with this is all I had to say was holy shit. And that was
wild third pick.
It was such a curveball because here's the thing, when he started to say Oscar movies, Matrix, Oscar movie, American Beauty, you threw in Adam Sandler, Big Daddy. I was like, holy shit, that was a curveball.
Give the people what they want.
Look, it's a good movie. That's all I'm going to say. All right? That's all I'm going to say. Curveball pick. DJ goes for Being John Malkovich. DJ made a great case for its success on Malkovich and how the movie took a turn with just like the style and what it did for other indie movies at that point, and it did have a bigger cultural success. Tarzan, great pitch for the music. I mean, Phil Collins giving us one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Can't argue that.
The man is on fire. Like, he's literally lighting the room on fire with just the music. So then we go to what I think is the Tom Brady of the draft, is Fight Club in the 4th round. That was insane to me. I was waiting for it. I was hoping that somebody would do it in the 4th round.
I felt real value there.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't coming from Liz at that point, and I said, I
wasn't.
got to jump on it.
That was insane. I think DJ put together a very solid description of that. And I think he made an even better point with the cultural significance has grown more since it. And I haven't seen many other movies acquire that following
From that year.
Yeah, from that year and then over time. He made a good point that a lot of these movies on the list have lost steam compared to Fight Club. And Fight Club is studied and talked about a little bit more than most of these. Then Liz made a great point with Virgin Suicides. Coppola does carry this movie. I think a lot of other directors wouldn't have succeeded with this movie without Coppola's style and the way that she developed the relationship with Kirsten Dunst and everything else that they went on to do. So that was very good. And then DJ came in with Toy Story 2 right at the end. I mean, there's you guys have one animation each and great animation picks.
We did a good job for mixing
We did.
genres.
Yeah.
Did a very
I
good
tried.
job for mixing
So
genres.
both very good. DJ made a great point with how this was Pixar's make or break, and then that the sequel was essential to that story, like over time, and how the new characters, it was a very fluid thing. So that is my recap. And like, this is a very tough draft. So they're both very well thought out, well put together lists. But I think that my edge is going to go by hair to DJ.
I don't want to do
the
this.
first.
I don't want to do this.
It just walks off the set. Do you have a wrap up? A reason on why you?
It was
overall?
Fight Club. Come on.
I mean,
No.
Fight Club was a big value pick.
Look, Fight Club is definitely like a great pick on this list. I think that Big Daddy threw me, to be honest. I
knew
think
it.
Big Daddy lost the draft.
I was
think
in
it was
shock when that came out of your mouth. Not that I don't love the movie.
Yeah.
Even to like Tarzan was one that like I didn't have Tarzan even in my top 12, even though I love that movie. I absolutely adore that movie. Like literally, it's my favorite Disney movie ever made. And Big Daddy, I've watched that movie probably 12 times in my life.
Yeah.
But
I think head to head,
yeah,
it's
tough.
hard to do 5-on-5, and then it's like four juggernauts each of you, and then it's Big Daddy and
You guys laugh, but if
No,
we
it's a great movie.
did a poll, I guarantee everyone would
Look,
be like,
I'm
People
sure,
love it.
I'm
deserves
sure they
to
will.
be there. It deserves it.
I mean, it's also tough because you're also balancing different genres against one another, which, like, again, the whole goal is not to do round by round. Like, that, I don't think that's how Zach interpreted it. But as a whole, and, like, I can't argue, like, you have a legitimate comedy in there. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the relevance of horror was more significant, and that's where I went with the Blair Witch lean.
Blair was on my list. I will say Toy Story 2 was really hard for me to argue with. I was
Yeah.
really reaching at straws there.
And I got it at 5. I got it as the last pick in the draft.
I knew you were also going to pick that one, so that's why I was like,
You
well, I'm
could've
not going to
taken
pick it. No, I was like, I'm going to go Tarzan.
Okay.
Because I was like, he's
So I
going to
think
take...
you psyched yourself out. You could have taken it and argued all the same points against
No,
me. and
I
would've
mean,
been fucked.
honestly, between the two, I do prefer Tarzan as a movie.
That's fair. But this is not what you prefer, Liz. This is a fucking game.
Either way, I like my movies.
I like your
I think
movies a
you
lot.
have good picks. I think
I really
everybody
do.
has good ones. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never seen the Blair Witch Project. It was my second
Damn.
pick.
Wow.
There you go.
I thought that was your weakest one,
All right.
but
well,
that
there you go.
Like I mean, in the terms of how you explained it.
Well, there you go.
So that's.
So I got to
probably why.
watch more movies. But I've seen. I've
It's a
seen all the
good
other
watch for your first time, but there's really not much.
Yeah. My whole spin
rewatchability.
with that was the sort of guerrilla aspect of it. I also
Yeah.
didn't bring up Cloverfield, which I feel like I totally should have.
You could have.
I should have, because that was like I brought up Paranormal Activity, which
Yeah.
it also kind of had that spin, but I could have brought up the Cloverfield part. But I enjoyed this. Liz,
This
you
is-
didn't?
I had a little bit of like anxiety throughout the whole thing because I just was like, what am I doing right now?
Do you,
You know
get
what
it?
I think
Do
it
you get it a
was?
little bit better now?
You know what I think it was? I thought we were doing 10. And so I think I have like 20 movies in front of me. And
Okay.
so I kept like scrolling of like, wait, where do I want to go next?
Yeah.
I think going into it, if I only have 10 movies, it'll be easier.
Yeah. I feel like 10 is tough. 10
I
is tough.
literally have 20 movies.
See, I
in
went
front
with,
of me.
so I had an initial list of 30. And then I
That's
brought it, and then I
wild.
brought it down to 13.
Yeah, like
And
I
that's
have.
where I kept, and I think my thing for you going forward, not to, but like I would do more than 10, because what if like a person already has like, let's say like you're going into your 4th pick or whatever, and you already have like, well, like
do you
me as
mean?
your opponent already has like all your top 3. Like if I have the advantage in the draft, you're gonna want to have more movies rather than less.
Yeah, but I feel like having too many, honestly, didn't help me.
Okay.
I had so many. I have Stuart Little, Sleepy Hollow. I have Cruel Intentions. Like I have way too many.
99. I just want to recap really quick before we wrap this up, just for people to understand how incredible of a movie Year 99 was. Because the other part of it is that I don't think people realize, in terms of genre too, how eclectic. Like there were so many different things for anybody to watch. I mean, these are just movies that I know have relevance from then or now. I'm just going to read off the list. Varsity Blues, She's All That, Blast from the Past, October Sky, Office Space, 200 Cigarettes, which was like more indie, but that was a big one with like a lot of big name talent was in that. Like Ben Affleck, Casey Affleck, Dave Chappelle, Janine Garofalo, Kate Hudson, Courtney Love, Christina Ricci, Paul Rudd, like crazy cast. Analyze This, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, the first Guy Ritchie movie. I'm going down like the whole entire list right now. 10 Things I Hate About You, The Matrix, Never Been Kissed, Election, like you had brought up, Liz. The Mummy, which was a huge movie for Brendan
love The
Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Episode 1.
I thought you were gonna have that one.
I didn't go for it. I thought about it. That was my number 6, so it was right there.
Okay.
That could have lost you some points there.
I'm glad I
five.
didn't go there.
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Because the movie isn't good.
I think just compared to other movies in the year, it's not as strong.
My whole argument
Yeah.
there would have been the relevance of how they brought it back, and it was massive.
Yeah.
Notting Hill, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, The General's Daughter, Run Lola Run, Tarzan, Big Daddy, South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. American Pie, Arlington Road, The Blair Witch Project, Eyes Wide Shut, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Runaway Bride.
I thought about Runaway Bride, but I thought that would have put you guys over the edge.
The Iron Giant, The Sixth Sense. I mean, I'm only in like the summer right now.
That's a good list.
It's
yeah.
crazy. Like it's like we haven't even gotten to a lot of the ones that we said. American Beauty, Three Kings, like Fight Club. All these insane list of movies. There's a fantastic book that's out too. It's called 1999, the best movie year ever, which is why I thought it was a really good basis for us doing our first draft for Real Drafters this way. I had fun doing this. Do you think you feel better about it going forward now? After doing
now
one?
that I like kind of get it more.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking forward to challenging you once again, Liz, and whoever else you get to sit across from at the desk. I look forward to it. Zach, did you have fun?
I had so much fun being the executioner.
I love it. I love it. Anything else, Liz?
No, that's it for me.
All right.
I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go cry in the bathroom.
God, no. So, guys, this was our very first episode of our new podcast, Real Drafters. Please let us know in the comments what you guys thought about it. Do you guys like this kind of content? Do you guys want to see us do more episodes like this going forward? We're going to try a couple more out. Let us know if you guys really like this format, because we'll definitely continue it then. You guys can also go on our Instagram page, which is at Cinema Wave Media, where you guys can find our individualized lists, and you guys can put your comments on there and your votes as well for what you guys think about that. You can also follow us at Cinema Wave Media also on TikTok and Threads and Facebook. We also have at _Culture Wave Media on Instagram and at Jersey's Finest Pod for another one of our podcasts. Also on Instagram. Just signing off. I am Darian Scalamoni.
I am Liz Seiko.
I'm Zach Miller.
And we'll see you guys next time.